Good evening. Water levels across the West Midlands continue to rise today as the Met Office warned of further heavy rain to come this week. The Environment Agency has been out trying to clear debris which is clogging up rivers and causing more risk to homes and properties. Our reporter Stacey Foster has been out with them.
The race is on to remove this. 50 tonnes of trees, dead animals and rubbish that the recent storms have blown into the River Teme at Powick near Worcester. If it's not removed before the next downpour, the consequences could be devastating. But as the Environment Agency work, the water levels rise.
The problem with it is because we got more heavy rainfall forecast, it can actually raise flood risk locally because it holds the water back here at Powick. So if we possibly can, we're trying to get it out of the way. The problem is we're running out of time as the river's rising.
The government department that funds this type of work has been one of the worst affected by cuts in the past. And as passers-by watched on, MPs in London were warning that any further budget cuts shouldn't impact on the ability to cope with these types of emergencies. But they're not the only ones who are concerned.
Why, if flooding is such a big issue, are we still getting so many proposals for development on areas that clearly flood on a regular basis? And we get that as a fairly constant refrain. Now, if the resources aren't there to handle that, we could see many more problems in the future.
A victim of its own geography, river levels here increased within 24 hours of heavy rainfall in Wales. While we were filming here today, the river level went up by a foot and it continued to rise. Well, as the work here in Worcester to prevent further flooding continues, the rain begins to fall again and we're expecting more heavy showers over the next 24 to 48 hours. There are currently more than 20 flood alerts in place in the region, mainly on the River Severn in Worcester and the River Avon, but the Environment Agency know that this kind of work will continue for at least the next week. Stacey Foster, ITV News, Worcester.
Ministers and private security firm G4S have been accused of attempting to cover up the true extent of recent disturbances at the country's largest prison. On Sunday, trouble broke out on a wing of the privately run HMP Oakwood prison near Wolverhampton. And now there are fresh reports of further outbreaks of violence at the jail in the months leading up to the latest disturbance. Phil Brewster has this report.
Another day, another wave of condemnation and criticism over the running of this seemingly troubled prison. On Sunday, up to 20 inmates at Oakwood were involved in a disturbance, damaging their cells and threatening officers. One prisoner was injured. It took 9 hours to bring the violence under control. Now reports have emerged of further incidents of violence at the jail in the months leading up to the latest outbreak of disorder. The jail near Wolverhampton opened in April 2012. Run by the private security firm G4S, it currently houses around 1,600 Category C and Category D inmates. But last October, the Chief Inspector of Prisons described Oakwood as being dangerous for prisoners, staff and the public. The following month, there were also 2 rooftop protests. One solicitor representing some of the prisoners at Oakwood claims the current prison regime resembles a madhouse and predicts further violence.
The riots will spread to other wings where prisoners incarcerated there have got similar issues and concerns that are not being addressed, they're not being dealt with. There will be wide-scale riots at HMP Oakwood throughout the prison, and there will be the loss of life, whether that's of prison officers, losses of lives or prisoners, but somebody will lose their life.
And today the Shadow Justice Secretary waded in too, accusing the government and G4S of trying to cover up the true scale of the disturbances at Oakwood.
We had rooftop protests last year and G4S and the government have been very secretive about what happened this weekend. Another example of a disturbance / riot, a prisoner was injured, the riot squad was sent in and G4S and the government need to tell us what's going on in that prison.
Oakwood was billed as the future of prisons in the UK, built and run by private firms, cheaper than state-run jails and saving taxpayers millions of pounds in the process. But some are now questioning whether prisons and private profit is just too explosive a mix. Phil Brewster, ITV News.
Well, we asked the Ministry of Justice for an interview about these latest reports of trouble at Oakwood, but they declined to comment. But in a statement, G4S said, "We are committed to helping Oakwood become a first-class facility which secures the very best outcomes for prisoners and taxpayers." Immediate action is needed to prevent Wolverhampton City Council going insolvent within 2 years, according to the authority's financial department. A report will be presented to councillors tomorrow, telling them they need to find savings of £123 million over the next 5 years. That figure has gone up from £98 million first reported in October. The council says cuts will now need to be deeper and happen faster. Officials say it could mean they struggle to provide essential services such as caring for the elderly or emptying bins.
I don't think any area of the council can be protected from cuts of this magnitude. We've lost £147 million, or over 50% of our government grant between 2010 and 2015-16. So it really is impossible to protect any area.
More new cars are still being sold in the Midlands than anywhere else in the UK. New figures show nearly 410,000 were bought in the region last year. The Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders says firms based in the West Midlands like Jaguar Land Rover are key contributors to the figures.
JLR have done particularly well. They're growing both in the UK and internationally, and you see the level of investment that they're making in terms of new production facilities that suggest that clearly they've got very strong ambitions to grow yet further.
Here's the weather now with Lucy Kite.
Hello. Well, in between the showers and the rain, some sunny spells to look forward to for tomorrow afternoon and lighter winds as well. But we do have more showers to come before then. Frequent showers over the next 12 hours, and then you can see here on the radar a bit of respite through tomorrow afternoon before this huge band of rain arrives for tomorrow night. So more downpours on the way, I'm afraid. As for tonight, 1 or 2 showers knocking around, mainly in northern parts of the region. This is where we'll see the heaviest of the showers. Many of us, though, getting away with the dry nights and a frost-free one too. But tomorrow morning, some downpours to come, some really hefty showers for northern parts of the region. The drier and brighter conditions reserved for further south here. And these drier, brighter conditions will extend further north for the afternoon before we see that rain arrive later on in the day.
That's it for now. There's plenty more on our website, itv.com/central. But for now, good evening.